All right. Good morning. My name is Arla Snacken, and I'm the Communications Manager and the Vice Chancellor of Administration Division here at UC Berkeley. I serve on the NOW Conference Planning Committee, and I am your moderator for the session this morning. I have the pleasure of welcoming everyone to NOW, Turn Your Learning into Action, presented by the UC Berkeley People and Organization Development Team. Here are some housekeeping announcements. You can access all the materials for this session in the chat. And later this summer, the session recordings and all the materials will be posted on our NOW Conference website, as well as the Berkeley People and Culture YouTube page. This webinar this morning marks the final day of NOW Week, and what an incredible week we have had, and an absolutely outstanding conference yesterday. I hope you enjoyed it. This session is going to be so helpful in wrapping things up, turning your learning into action. For those that attended the Coaching HQ activities, we look forward to getting to work with you during the one-on-one group coaching sessions held throughout the rest of the day today. Please note, registration for the webinars, group coaching sessions, and one-on-one coaching sessions are now closed. You received invitations to your UC Mail account via nowcoachinghq@berkeley.edu. We know many of you will be joining us at 10 o'clock this morning for the group coaching session that corresponds with today's webinar. So with that, I'm happy to introduce the names of our 5 presenters this morning, and they will share more about themselves as we hear from them throughout the session. First, Dr. Angela Stopper, who is UC Berkeley's Chief Learning Officer and Director of People and Organization Development. She is also our NOW Conference sponsor. Lisa Reichert is our Career and Professional Development Lead, and she serves as our NOW Conference co-chair. Ying Kwa is People and Organization Development Lead, and she co-chairs the NOW Conference with Lisa. Andrea Parthasarthi is our Career and Professional Development Specialist. She's also our NOW Conference Coaching HQ co-lead. And lastly, Deepak Sharma, who is a training specialist and serves on the NOW Conference Planning Committee member for the program team. Let's give a warm welcome to the People and Organization Development team. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Arliss. Greetings, NOW Conference attendees. As Arliss mentioned, I'm Lisa Reichert. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Career and Professional Development Lead at UC Berkeley and the co-chair of the NOW Conference.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ying Kwa, also she, her pronoun, People and Organization Development Lead in Berkeley People and Culture, and co-chair for the NOW Conference with Lisa. So after a full week of NOW, we are so excited to welcome you to our final Coaching HQ webinar called NOW, Turn Your Learning into Action.
And on behalf of the entire NOW Conference Planning Committee, we just want to thank each and every one of you for engaging with the 2024 NOW Conference. It's really been such a joy to see incredible staff from every UC location making up the largest staff development conference in the UC system.
Think of today's webinar and the group coaching that follows this hour as a space to reflect upon your major takeaways of the week and begin the process of translating all that learning into action for your personal and professional growth. As we go through the presentation today, our presenters will introduce themselves. But first, Lisa's going to share some info about our learning design for today's webinar.
Thanks, Ying. The UC Berkeley Pod team is going to break down many of the highlights of the NOW Conference by making connections to the UC Core Competency ABCs. These competencies are the foundational behavioral anchors that drive employee and organizational success across the UC system. And there are many learning applications on the webpage that we are linking in the chat, and you can find on the NOW Conference webpage related to the competencies. At a super high level, the competencies are clustered into 3 themes: A, for achieving results, B, for belonging in community, and C, for creating a future.
As we dive into these Now Conference connections to the ABCs, you may think about prioritizing maybe one or two of these competencies that speak most to you. And of course, we encourage you to access all of the resources and tools available to you at your respective UC location to get the support you need.
While A comes first in the alphabet, we are going to start off with one of our B competencies for building relationships, and that is belonging and community. While now is a professional development experience, it's a highly engaging and interactive growth experience and an incredibly important key to career satisfaction and fulfillment.
Each of you have made the Now Conference experience a space for staff to be included, to belong, to build community. And through all of the amazing concur sessions, activity breaks, keynotes, we enhance the strength of our UC Berkeley or UC system-wide community by sharing knowledge, by advancing organization processes and practices, and by focusing on building relationships as means to solve the world's most complex problems.
Yeah, and I hope that you might be thinking of ways to continue enhancing belonging and community within your career journey. You might think about joining or starting a staff organization, reaching out to those you met at the conference for a Zoom or in person coffee to exchange ideas and build connections with others.
You might also think about learning in a cohort environment. Check out the learning programs at your locations that include learning in groups, whether it's a half-day workshop or a multi-month long program. You know, if you found the social learning environment helpful to you, it could be that this is an area you continue expanding in your journey.
And as a quick spoiler, we plan on running a hybrid conference next year with Coaching HQ virtual as always, and the main day of the conference in person. So many more opportunities again next year to enhance that sense of belonging, finding your people and community, connecting in solidarity with the world-class workforce of our UC. And speaking of Coaching HQ, I'm going to invite our Coaching HQ co-lead to share how our now Coaching HQ offerings connect to our next core competency, continuous improvement.
Yes, thanks so much, Lisa. As of today, hundreds and hundreds of you have engaged in the Coaching HQ offerings this week through one-on-one career and talent appointments, our webinars, and the supplemental group coaching sessions. We have been so thrilled to see all of your engagement with these resources. But let me start by introducing myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Parthasarathy, she, her, and I'm a career and professional development specialist at Berkeley and the Now Conference Coaching HQ co-lead. All week, it has been so inspiring to hear the stories of growth and development from all of you. Well, the coaches are helpful guides. You are the ones really doing the work to drive your career where you want to go. And coaching is all about continuous improvement. Coaching, by definition, is partnering with an individual in a thought-provoking and creative process to maximize potential. And what's really special is that you get to define what growth looks like for you, because it looks a little different for each of us. When we opened Coaching HQ registration in May, we said coaching is for everyone. You go to a doctor for a medical checkup, a therapist for your mental health checkup, and a coach for a career checkup. Coaching is for all career stages. Individual contributors, managers, senior leaders, new employees, those of us who might be in a career transition, those of us who might be retiring, and anyone who is seeking to make an impact through their work. So when we're thinking about areas of continuous improvement, you might be considering what that could look like learning a new technology, creating more efficiencies in your work, improving your performance, giving and receiving feedback, or even appreciating or rewarding the innovation of others to drive community belonging and that culture of recognition. So these competencies really connect to each other when we're putting all of our learning into practice. And as you practice, we want to remind you that you are not alone. Keep in mind that all of those UC-based resources for one-on-one and group coaching that we share throughout the week Our team has pulled as many of those UC campus-specific coaching resources as we could find, but there might be even more beyond that that's available for you at your campus. Before now, coaching was out of reach for a lot of us, but now we have access points for coaching because we truly believe that in that process of continuous improvement in your career, a supportive coach can be a great partner and support you along in your journey. So with that, this is a good spot to transition to UC Berkeley's Chief Learning Officer and our Director of People and Organization Development, Dr. Angela Stopper, to take you through some reflection about what's important to you next in your career.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And hi, friends. Angela here from UC Berkeley, your Chief Learning Officer. I use she, her pronouns, and I have the honor of serving as the executive sponsor for the NOW conference. This is my 7th year supporting the planning team in that role, and this is such an incredible way to wrap up our 12th year together at NOW. I want you all to be thinking about what's important to you next in your career. Andrea just talked to you about how you can and should drive your career journey and how we can partner with you towards what success looks like for you. But first, you have to start with what's really important for you. From my experience as a learning leader, you are 10 times more likely to work on growth areas that actually are meaningful for you. And there is no limit to how you can define growth. You might be wanting to focus on wellness, or mindfulness, or strengthening skills, or going after a new role, really impacting your current role, enhancing your expertise. Maybe it's expanding your network. All of these are valid ways to grow. And we know many of you are headed to the group coaching session that follows this hour. And we want you to create some space now for a short reflection so that you can have some initial priority areas in mind when you move into that experience. So what I'd love you to do is open a Word doc on your computer, grab a piece of paper or a pen, or just open up your mind and take a few moments to reflect on 4 fundamental questions, and then jot down, type down, or mentally write down some notes to these questions. First, as you think about Discover, from all the learning this week, what do you want to prioritize? And I'm going to give you just a minute maybe to think about that. Again, from all that you learned this week, what do you want to prioritize? Moving on to question 2, as you think about Explore, with that priority in mind, what opportunities do you have to take action on your priority to make it a reality? So again, I'll give you 30 seconds or so to write that down. The question again, with your priority in mind from step 1, what opportunities do you have to take action on your priority to really make it a reality? Now, as you're building your plan, let's move on to step 3 as we think about plan. What will you do first this week? What will you do after that? And what will you do after that? So I want you to think about kind of 3 steps. You have your priority. You've thought about some opportunities that you want to take to put that priority into action. What action will you do? What will you do next week as you start your Monday of next week? What will you do maybe the week or month after that? And what will you do after that? Just write down 4 or 5 action steps that link to those opportunities, that link to your priority. And again, I'll give you about 30 seconds or so just to start jotting some notes down. And then finally, as you're building this action plan to take into your coaching in the next section or to start doing some work on your own, I want you to think about acting. So how will you leverage support from resources and people in your professional network to ensure that you get started and keep moving forward on your priority? So again, thinking about how you're going to leverage the support and resources from people in your professional network to ensure you get started and keep moving as you think about what you're going to do next week, the month, time after that, around that priority that you've connected to what you've learned from the NOW conference. So again, I'll give you just a couple minutes. Think about people you can reach out to. Think about people that you can talk to help hold you accountable. Is it a peer? Is it a friend? Is it someone at home? Is it your manager? How can you build that accountability network? Do you have an accountability buddy? Do you have someone that you can use as a resource? Or are there other courses and classes, LinkedIn learnings, other things that you can use to make sure that you're really moving forward on your priority? And again, I'll give you about 30 seconds to write that down. So I'm sure there is a starburst of ideas and excitement happening for you right now in your mind as you're thinking about all this. It is truly the perfect opportunity for you to center and reflect on the amazing and inspiring messages that you've heard from our two keynote speakers, and with key connections to the spirits of continuous learning and the power of change, agility. All of that work is probably bustling in your mind right now. And I want to talk to you a little bit about continuous learning. So I know we are all still buzzing with the insights from Gor King's amazing keynote yesterday. Let's reflect on the profound ideas he shared about mastering the unspoken rules and secrets of getting engaged with our careers. Gork emphasized the importance of each interaction, how every email, every meeting, every project is not just a task, but a stepping stone towards greater learning and career growth. He urged us to recognize every day as a fresh opportunity to learn and grow, a statement that resonates deeply within the realms of higher education. One key takeaway from his talk was this distinction between being goal-oriented and experience-oriented. Whether you aspire to lead, to make impactful changes for a cause, to support first-gen college students, or simply to seek fulfilling work-life balance, each path offers unique opportunities for learning and growth. He challenged us to ask ourselves, are we more driven by specific goals, like acquiring a new skill or a credential, or are we motivated by the experiences that we gain, such as working in collaborative environments or engaging in work we're passionate about? This introspection is critical as it influences how we navigate our career paths and our professional development. For those of us in the educational setting, this becomes even more relevant. Each student we guide, each curriculum we develop, each policy we influence, each faculty member we support crafts not only the future of our learners, but also our own professional journeys. Gorick asked us to seize every chance for intrigue and learning, meet someone new, learn about their story, encounter a new topic, dive deeper into its complexities. Every moment is a potential classroom, every interaction a learning waiting to be understood. As we continue with today's session, I encourage all of us to think about who inspires us. What qualities do they possess and what do we admire about them? How did they achieve their current position? Understanding these paths can help us mold our own approaches to professional growth and achievement. Remember what Gorick said when he closed, the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Let's use today to plant seeds for our future growth, embrace continuous learning, not just as a professional obligation, but as a personal journey towards excellence and fulfillment. Now, bringing our attention to a truly awakened life, outlined by our inspirational Dr. Deepak Chopra, our afternoon keynote speaker. These concepts can enhance our change agility, our ability to anticipate, adapt to, and thrive in our ever-changing environments. Change agility asks us not only to support needed changes at work, but to energize others at all levels and maintain commitment throughout the ambiguity of new initiatives. Dr. Chopra's insights into the emotional and spiritual dimensions of well-being are particularly relevant here. He urged us to manage stress effectively and engage in reflective practices. These are critical skills as we navigate the complexities of our roles within higher education. I want to take a moment to put Deepak's message into actionable strategies for you all. Dr. Chopra discussed the importance of supportive networks and maintaining physical health, which are fundamental to supporting our efforts in managing change. How can we translate this into action in our UC locations? One way might be participating in well-being workshops or practices that focus on stress management techniques and mindfulness, tailored specifically for staff and faculty at the UC. Dr. Chopra highlighted the power of recognizing strengths in ourselves and others, fostering a positive, reinforcing environment of that. You can put this into practice immediately by recognizing and appreciating your colleagues, either informally or through formal mechanisms. Building that culture of recognition not only boosts morale, but also supports a culture of rewarding adaptability, innovation, growth, all of these things that are so very important as we continue to move the UC into a successful future. This is also a good spot to highlight flexibility and resilience, as Dr. Chopra noted, in dealing with setbacks. Consider developing your personal change agility toolkit that includes resources and tips on navigating change, regular support mechanisms like having a hype crew of trusted colleagues, or more formal support through employee assistance or coaching, case studies of successful developmental transitions, and tips on maintaining engagement during times of uncertainty. That all will allow you to deal with change and be adaptable and flexible and resilient as it happens to you within your career. Dr. Chopra highlighted the importance of community. Build your support network of those engaging in change similar to you or different from you. Bring folks together over coffee or Zoom, or take a walk or stroll around your campus where you can talk about change and change stories, share insights, challenges, strategies for navigating change. This will not only help in disseminating best practices across your campus, but also build a network of support among change leaders, which will really, again, help us to move the UC forward in ways we need to in order to be future ready. As we reflect on Dr. Chopra's metaphor of the biological organism, adaptable and resilient, I encourage you to emulate those qualities, embrace the diverse and dynamic nature of your role, enhance your campus environment through proactive change, and ensure that your community is not only responsive, but also thriving in the face of new challenges. And with all that, now I'm going to pass it over to our Deepak Sharma, trainer on the People and Organization Development team, to share highlights of small sections of the amazing concurrent sessions that we experienced yesterday.
Thank you so much, Angela. Absolutely. And hi, everybody. Welcome. It is great to be here with all of you today. As Angela mentioned, I'm the other Deepak. I'm Deepak Sharma, and here on the pod team at UC Berkeley, pronouns are he, him, his. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue talking a little bit about the ABC competencies, specifically in the context of the concurrent sessions. So not all of them, but a snapshot of a few select ones. So some of you might have attended some of these yesterday. So let's jump into thinking about the first one, which is achieving results with problem solving. So when we think about problem solving at work, it's about anticipating and identifying problems, conducting the right analyses, and to understand the interests and needs. So problem solving is all about generating and evaluating solutions and taking thoughtful risks to drive success. So one session which included this very theme was conflict resolution in the workplace and why identity matters. For those of you who might have attended, that was in round 2. So this session stipulated that we should not embrace problem solving simply out of fear, but rather lean into it and help bring those issues to the table for discussion. So doing so, this oftentimes helps reinforce best practices that move us forward creatively. Problem solving often includes identifying any lessons that we have learned, and it considers that similar conflicts like this can be prevented in the future. So let's think for a moment. If problem solving is an area that you want to develop further, here's some quick ideas for turning your learning into action and into practice. So think about the following. So embracing diverse perspectives, seek input and feedback from colleagues who are different from you, including background, professional experience. These ways of thinking can often broaden your approach to problem solving and generate innovative new solutions. Another one would be implementing a structured problem solving process. So if you get a chance, check out this training tool. It's called the 5 Whys, or the fishbone diagram, which models systematically identifying root causes and exploring potential solutions that ensure a thorough analysis of problem solving for a situation. So the 5 Whys and the fishbone diagram. Another one also is to grow your decision making with confidence. One of the ways to help with this is to set smaller and manageable goals that involve learning from your successes and learning from your failures. That'll help you build your decision making and navigating with confidence moving forward. Another area to focus on would be achieving results and service focus. That's another one of our competencies. So the service focus is something that we can attest to with our communities, whether it's with students, employees, guests, stakeholders, or anybody who's essentially a recipient of our services and programs. When you think about your office, who is somebody from the outside that is looking in and getting served by you on your campuses? Think about it from their perspective. So our interactions with these communities, they oftentimes go beyond in-person, like what we're doing right now with virtual. We all have met somebody in a virtual setting. So with this context, it's through virtual and remote communications and services. One of the sessions that I wanted to emphasize was accessible and assistive technologies for all. That was from session 1. And this session essentially delved into technology that is at our fingertips, and it celebrated innovative ways to servicing our students and our clients. So some examples include integrating apps, keeping up to date on new features that accompany basic technology that we already use. This session essentially sharpened our knowledge of technology and applied it to strengthening our services and offerings to others. Maybe enhancing your service focus is an area of growth mindset for you. So one of the things to do, keep a couple of ideas in your mind to turn some of that action, or some of that learning into action. This might sound cliched, but think about your customers first. When you reflect on and collaborate with your team on enhancing the ability to meet the varying needs of our diverse student populations, this definitely enhances our inclusion and accessibility, something that students are oftentimes asking for, and ways that we can serve them just through basic technology. Another common theme for today is leveraging feedback. So one other way to do this is to actively seek and utilize feedback from diverse sources. This includes always thinking about people who are not in the room that we want to learn from. This helps oftentimes refine our service quality, and especially those around accessibility, which are the ones that we may not know of right away. Switching gears for a moment, it's the next competency here is through building relationships with collaborations. So one of the sessions, which was mapping success through culture fit, discovering potential in community and collaboration, for those of you who may have attended, that was in session 2. So this session took a direct approach to identifying our goals and our needs that helped us find the organization that meets the fit that we are looking for. So when you lean into your strengths and your values, the right organization provides a balance that would engage us professionally and give employees the satisfaction that they need to work with a team that supports this type of engagement. So this includes building a culture of collaboration between colleagues and cross-functional teams. And this is often credited to people feeling as though they are part of a collaborative team. So, maybe a collaboration area for you would be focus on ongoing growth planning. Growth obviously is one of those things that does have to happen largely in collaboration, in collaborative spaces. So a few ideas here to turn your learning into collaboration will include the following. It's focusing on collaborative communication. Regularly practicing clear and open dialogue with writing and ensuring that all team members feel heard and understood. One of the easiest ways to get that process started. Another one would be fostering trust and respect. So building trust and showing respect among team members by being reliable, listening actively, and transparent. And then last but not least is practicing constructive conflict. Engage in what we call, you've probably heard this before, start, stop, and continue exercises to explore operational planning in a collaborative and a thoughtful way. Moment. The next one on our list for our competencies is communication. So one of the first steps, circling back for a moment to collaboration, is to have outstanding communication. So communication is the competency that is also within the realm of building relationships. So I know this might sound like a cliche, but it is relevant in ways and something that oftentimes has to be refreshed periodically. So one of the concurrent sessions that we had also was, it was called Mastering Memory to Unlock Your Potential and Enhance Professional Success. That one was in round 3, session 3. So this essentially took a non-conventional approach to communication by having us rely solely on memory and the mechanics of using our minds to move ourselves forward. So for those of you that might have seen, this particular one was presented without a slide deck, and the presenter iterated that communication tends to allow us to reference things that are in writing, whether it's things on websites, memos, emails, meeting minutes, things like that. In reality, in order to function, we need our memory and mental stimulation to remember a lot of information that we communicate to our colleagues and to our teams. So communications training such as these, like this particular one, it oftentimes reinforces our public speaking and listening skills that our universities and our colleagues rely on in order to move forward. So I know many of you are thinking about communication as an area to work on. Many of us are in communication with others for most of our days in the UC system. So as a way to practice your communication skills, here are some tips and techniques to try this. So practice visualization. Before any major important conversation or presentation, visualize the key points that you want to remember and communicate. This can often solidify information in your memory and makes it easier to deliver a lot smoother just to have that type of a visual association. Or another one would be summarize after learning. After reading or learning new information, summarize it in your own words. This reinforces memory retention and aids in explains concepts clearly to others. So I'm sure, for example, a lot of you that might have gone to a session, you may not remember exactly what was on a slide deck or something that a presenter said, but you will remember the key points and summarize it for somebody else who is probably not in that session and will not watch the video later. So just a thought. The third one would be using mnemonic devices. When you create acronyms or phrases to remember lists of complex information, making it easier to retrieve details during discussions. We in the UC system are very acronym heavy and oftentimes somehow expect other people to be also. So this is oftentimes a technique of something that might be referred by acronym, though it may not always be in writing. And then last but not least in this is to discuss what you learn, share information with friends and colleagues as soon as possible, explain concepts to others. This is a powerful way to enhance your memory and clarity in communication. So the next one is mission and vision focus. So here at the University of California, employees are creating the future and their continued learning through professional development, which helps steward this practice. So with this particular competency, creating the future, mission and vision focus, one of the session, it was values mapping for team success. This was in session 1. This particular session emphasized values that we all bring as employees and lead with that to help enhance our organizations. I know this is a little bit of the opposite of the earlier comparison that I made in terms of finding an organization based on culture fit, whereas this session emphasized the importance of a team and how they collectively are the ones that are building the values of that organization. So sometimes you may wonder, well, how does this start? Whether you're a seasoned employee or a new employee, and it starts at various stages, completely understandable and is refreshed a lot. So whether you're at a team retreat of getting to know each other, maybe you're revisiting a strategic plan, you can start, this could even start at the recruitment of employees. Oftentimes you've seen during an interview the question of "tell us about yourself," usually as an icebreaker question. This is usually a time where we might get a strength of a candidate's strengths and experiences and the values that they will bring that will help shape the team's success that we are hiring this person for. So I know each of you are committed to mission and values of the University of California, and it shows. The values are the behaviors that drive our work toward a mission in support of achieving a vision that is collective for the entire UC system. So some of the ways to practice that include the following. So practice values by ascribing them as behaviors to others. Writing statements like "this means we," statements that have to describe actions that drive or break your values. Sometimes that can help. Another one is to check in with each other about your organization and team values. If you value inclusion, ask your team, ask your peers about how they are feeling with inclusion and what could be done to better include them or others. Oftentimes, this is another way that builds on relationship building also just through that inclusion practice alone. And then last but not least is engaging in UC experience conversations. This will help better understand the important works that your colleagues do and how they work with each other. The next one, sorry, one second. So I'd like to, I think the last one here that I've got is the competency of stewardship once again, under the theme of creating the future. So as a whole, this competency looks at how we responsibly use and apply university resources to our needs in order to meet the needs of others. So for example, one of the sessions that some of you might have attended this one, it was called Using AI Productivity at Home, Work, and Job Hunting. This one was from session 3. This session delved into how we use it to study machine learning and generative AI. So to complement this particular session, UC Berkeley recently hosted an open forum on artificial intelligence, which puts us in the mindset of using it for workplace efficiency, innovation, and general operation effectiveness, while also acknowledging its constraints. So UC Berkeley also has an AI community, which is it's essentially a community of practice where employees are coming together to explore this concept more. AI is likely on the minds of many of us. And for those of you outside of UC Berkeley, I'm sure your communities over there at your campuses have a very similar community like this, because this is something that is expanding widely in the UC system. So some of the tips for those of you that are working and implementing AI within certain practices, here's some ideas. It's, I think some of you might have gotten a very surface level introduction to this topic, or some of you might just be starting, or some of you might even be more intermediate. But as a way to get us to the next benchmark is to define appropriate use of this with your team. Determine what should be automated and how AI could help you, and also how it should not be used. That's oftentimes something, when I know people fear AI being used a little too much, and that's fair enough to ask as a team what we should not be using it for. Use AI tools together to get feedback, ideate, and iterate. I know ChatGPT is definitely a popular one with keywords that oftentimes gives us ideas that expand our minds to think as well, something to try. And lastly, utilizing AI tools to enhance efficiencies. Whether you think about streamlining certain processes that have maybe run their course, saving time. Essentially the idea of this is to eliminate redundancies and to make sure that we are using our time effectively on things that maybe AI could help us with, so we can focus our time and energy somewhere else. So now that you have a lot of ideas, to how to turn these plans into action, I'm actually going to turn it back over to Angela to close us out with the workshop on a few strategies related to sustainable growth. So take it away, Angela.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for your wonderful set of highlights from the NOW 2024 concurrent sessions. While we made connections to our system core competencies through just 6 of the over 20 amazing sessions, we encourage you to continue your learning by checking out the recordings of each of the concurrent session presentations once they're posted on our YouTube channel this summer. Before you transition to the supplemental group coaching session or one-on-one coaching sessions that you have scheduled today, I want to leave you with a few tips for really taking what's on your mind and in your heart and putting that into action. First, be specific in making learning goals for yourself. Be specific when you set goals. We talked about this a lot. Start small break the goal into meaningful action, make time for progress on that goal weekly, a couple times a week, even daily skill practice. If you want to improve your management skills, you might register for a workshop offered by your UC location within the next month. Be specific as you set those goals. Number 2, think about Gorik's message. Seek opportunities at every chance you have to apply new knowledge or skills. Seek or request projects and tasks in which you can apply skills that you are developing. This might look like volunteering for a new initiative, proposing efficiencies or innovations that would require you to use new knowledge or skills that you're practicing in your work, in a project that you're doing. So again, think about and seek out those opportunities. Third point to think about Deepak Chopra's message and lean into change. To better understand your environment, your skills, what's needed for success, seek regular feedback. When you are applying new skills, ask for insights from your supervisor, from mentors, from your peers. The feedback that you seek will help you to understand how well you're using your new knowledge and skills and where you might need to make adjustments or improvements for truly sustained growth. So lean into that change and seek that feedback. As we think about maybe a fourth thing to kind of keep in mind as we're moving forward, remember Lisa and Ying's message to you about belonging and community. I really encourage you to get connected, stay engaged, expand your network, grow your social, informal, and peer learning environments. To do that, maybe you want to join a group of folks who are interested in developing similar skills to what you're interested in, or sharing insights and experiences that you can use to enhance your learning. And this will also allow you to provide new perspectives on how to apply your knowledge effectively in your environment in ways that feel good for you. So again, that fourth point that I want you to think about is getting connected, staying engaged, finding your people. And then the last point I want to really reinforce for you is remembering Andrea's message about Coaching HQ and the sparks of continuous improvement through those personal, professional, and career check-in moments that we have. Connect your learning to your career and professional goals. Aligning your learning focus areas with long-term career journey aspirations is really helpful to keep us motivated and keep us moving forward to be future ready. Taking on new skills can open up new and exciting opportunities. And by linking learning and goals to your career journey, this ensures your learning is thoughtful, meaningful, strategic, and purpose-driven. So again, think about how you can implement those personal, professional, and career check-in moments into your own career. So with that, I want to thank you all once more for your engagement in 2024 NOW Conference. We appreciate you and your incredible contributions to the University of California. With that, I would like to turn it back over to Lisa and Ying to close us out for this webinar session.
Thank you, Angela. And yes, everybody, please do check out the Berkeley People and Culture YouTube page later this summer for all of the recordings to these webinars, the keynotes, and the concurrent sessions. And for UC Berkeley employees, be sure to check out our Grow Your Career page to register for our Now Encore series that will be offered this fall. It's part of our Grow Your Career workshops, and we continue the learning with Now all year round.
Yes, Lisa. Looking ahead to next year, we want to again invite all of you to Now 2025. That is going to be on June 12th, 2025 at the Oakland Marriott City Center. Yes, back in person next year, and then we'll be back remote the following year in 2026. And of course, Coaching HQ, our wonderful virtual coaching activities that's offered all week through Now Week, will continue to run virtually. Many, many more details to come. And with that, Arliss, we'll pass it back over to you to close us out. Thank you all.
How inspiring. Thank you, UC Berkeley People and Organization Development team. That was awesome. Everyone, I'd like to please remind you to complete the session evaluation using the link that is going to magically appear in the chat. Those session evaluations are also posted on the Now Conference website. And your feedback is so important in helping us know what worked well, what could work differently next time to best meet your needs. So we really appreciate your input because it also helps us plan for future conferences and sessions. So what's up next? It's that groups coaching session that I mentioned earlier, which will be a debrief of the session and a space for small groups to discuss the learnings from today's webinar. For those who registered, you already have received the invitation with the virtual meeting login details. And so for those who have registered, please head over there in a moment. Check your UC email address for your appointment invitation, which includes your companion guide, your coach name, and the Zoom information. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and please enjoy the next session. Take care.